Hello, I'm Lisa, and I'm an aspiring author who doesn't know what she's doing. So I just finished week 2 of NaNoWriMo, and it was quite a roller coaster for me. I feel like some days I was in a really good flow, and other days I really struggled to write anything. There was even days where I thought, I just need a break from writing. I wasn't expecting that to happen so early in the challenge. I thought that would be maybe day 20 or so. I think a part of it is definitely my routine and the fact that I'm writing right before bedtime. So I know that I set the intention of doing 2-a-days or having one longer session right after work, but being completely honest with you, I haven't been doing that. I've only been doing writing right before bedtime. I'm also finding myself getting into a really good flow once I start writing. So I think for this week, my challenge is going to be to actually write right after work. Despite not going to the new schedule, I did still write more words than I did last week. This week I wrote 10,262 words, which is 2,097 words more than last week. I am officially over 25,000 words, which means that I am halfway through NaNoWriMo, and about 1,500 words shy of what my weekly goal would be if I was hitting the word count every single day for NaNoWriMo. So for the most part, every single day this week I've written more words except for Tuesday and Friday, and in my notes I wrote how much I didn't want to write and how I just needed a break from writing, even if it was just a day. Outside of the first day, I haven't missed any other days of NaNoWriMo, so my adherence is 93.33% as of right now. I also changed 2 things about the way that I approach writing for NaNoWriMo, and I think just writing in general. The first thing is I started making my map as I'm writing after every session, so that way I can log how far the characters travel, what places they visit, and roughly have a good scale of the distance between those locations. This is to help me make a fantasy map later. I've actually already made a fantasy map for this book, which I will have a whole video for you in December, but this is going to help me make a better, more updated version of the fantasy map. The second thing that I'm doing is actually changing the way that I approach my bullet journal. True to how I generally approach bullet journals, I had way too many sections and way too much data that I was trying to collect, so I've actually simplified it a lot. So I only use the session metadata and the chapter pages, and even those chapter pages I simplified it further, and I only have where I stopped at, what the next scene's supposed to be, and then any notes for my future draft. I noticed that I wasn't using the other sections anyways, so it's saving me time and space in my bullet journal. And I'll actually have a video down the line reflecting on how I feel about my bullet journal and how I would set it up after going through NaNoWriMo once. Speaking of minimalistic approaches, I did realize that that's how I approach my drafting as well. I do a lot of telling, and a lot of it is cues for future Lisa to edit. So for instance, instead of really honing in on the 5 senses or trying to describe emotion in a way that isn't telling, I'll just say, she is anxious. I feel like this helps me bypass the perfectionist in me and just lets me get the story out and puts it on future Lisa to fix it. That being said, I had a moment this week where I thought, my first draft might not be 50,000 words. I think realistically I'll probably be closer to 40 or 45,000 because I hit the halfway point right around 20,000. But even if I don't hit 50,000 words but I finish my first draft of a book, that's a massive win. That being said, I am going to try to keep pace with NaNoWriMo and hit the 36,674 words by the end of next week, which does mean that I need to write a little bit more than I did this week to make sure I'm keeping pace. But those are my updates. I'm really excited to see how your second week of NaNoWriMo is going down below, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. That's a wrap. And here's my dog. Or dog tail, not sure what you actually saw.